Okay, welcome to the shop again. This morning I thought we would play around with an idea I had a while back. I cut this little ornament, a table ornament, with a hummingbird and some flowers in it. And it's in the shape of a camera, so that it looks like somebody's looking through the back screen of a camera and is taking a picture. A little tripod on the bottom with a split base to hold it up. And if you turn the ornament around, you see the other side of the camera as if the picture is going to be taken through the lens there. Well, it's a cute idea, and it makes a nice little display. And I have a pattern for this, which I'm going to include with a pattern that I'm going to show you today. These will be up on Etsy for a very minimal price. And you can pick this up and try it on your own. Now, the idea I've got now is to take this same pattern and cut it out of wood again, of course. But we're going to also make a backing for it so that it's thicker and it looks more like a camera. And also be able to put a little tea light in there so that it shows the image a little better than it does just on a plain background. Going to see how this works. A little bit of an experiment as usual here, but we'll give it a try. Now what we've got to do is we've got to get a 3/4 inch piece or a 1 inch piece of wood, which I have here. It's a piece of scrap poplar, and I'm going to use that to make the front of the camera. Now with this, of course, I'm going to have to glue down or tape down another thin layer of 1/4 inch birch ply, because after we get done cutting this out, we're going to have an opening here for the inside of the camera, but we want to have a backing on it too, so that we can put our lens on it and make it look like a camera for real. So let's get to work and I'll show you how I'm going to do this. Okay, we've got the pattern cut out for the box part of the camera, front part of the camera. Well, what we're going to do is we're first going to take this blank and we're going to attach to it this other piece of birch ply. Now, they're all going to be based on this pattern, of course, but to cut this out so that it's exactly the same size as that, I'm going to tape the two together to begin with. And we'll do this with our trusty masking tape. Tape it down really firmly. Tape will of course help us prevent any burning, and will also allow us to attach the pattern so that it's removable later on down the road. Okay, put it on there. Now we want to cut this out. We're gonna glue this down here, and we're gonna go around and cut out along the edges so that both of them will be exactly the same size. But then we're going to take the top piece off and we're going to cut out the inner section. So in order to do this, you're going to want to have to tape up this side as well. Make sure it's good and secure. When I cut this out, it'll all be one piece as far as the world is concerned. Okay, now we'll have the pattern on this side, and that way when we take it off, we take the bottom off later, the pattern will be here, and we'll cut out the inside of this. Hopefully that's clear. If it is, please call me and explain it to me. It's really not that difficult. You'll see what I mean as we get going. Put enough tape on here to make sure that this is nice and set to be cut out. Okay, and then we'll take our pattern, put it down as we always do, and gooey up the back. I like to use a glue stick rather than a spray. sprays, I can see lung problems coming out of that later on down the road. Don't realize it when you first start, but I think that's what will happen. All right, I'm going to put this right on the edge here. We'll have a minimal amount of cutting. I could cut this out in to size on the scroll saw, I mean on the table saw, and it would save us a lot of work, and maybe I will do that. And then we'll come back and we'll trim up the edges. Okay, to save myself some time, I cut the squared edges on both of these so that they match up on a table saw. And they're all set to go now. So this one, I'm going to take over to the scroll saw, and now we'll cut out the middle since we can't really do that on the table saw. Okay, we're over here at the scroll saw, and we're going to cut out this center section of the box for our camera. Now, I went and drilled a little entry hole here for our blade so we can get inside and tighten it up. And I'm using a number 5 blade. Probably should have used something thicker, but if you take your time, it should come out pretty good. Here we go. Okay, we got our box cut out now. Let's just peel the tape off. Don't really need that anymore. As I said, I use poplar, but you can use any kind of wood you want. And I used birch ply on here. Again, 1/4 inch. You can use any type of wood you prefer. There we go. Alright, the next thing we want to do is make a hole here on center for our little candle tea light that we're going to use to light up our little display. Now, I got mine at the $1.25 store, but you can pick them up anywhere. The size is generally the same, but you might have to rummage around to come up with the one you want. This is a rather thick one, which I prefer because this is going to make it look like a lens on the camera. So the first thing we've got to do is get a center on this board. So we'll take a ruler. I've got an X on the pattern, of course, but if you don't have the pattern on here, the best way to find the center is go with a crisscross here. That, and then the other way to get the center. Okay, that's where we're going to have to drill our hole. And we're going to drill probably a 1/2 inch hole in here so that the candle will fit through there. Do this on the drill press. Okay, over at the drill press here, and I decided on this 3/8 inch blade, drill bit, which will be enough to hold that light in place. And we want to line it up on the center spot that we got here, and just simply drill out the hole. Put another board on the bottom, by the way, to make it nice and flat. Okay. Okay, we're going to step out of the box here a little bit. I got this scrap piece that I took out of the center of the box, and I'm going to use that to make a cap for the lens, the so-called pseudo lens that's going to be on this camera. To do that, what we're going to do is we're going to draw, set this at a 1-inch wide circle here, just to see what this looks like. So we're going to have a 1-inch diameter. I'm sorry, not a 1-inch, a 2-inch diameter across the center. It's going to be a 2-inch lens, a very wide lens, so to speak. And this is going to be inside of the actual base that we're going to make here. And you'll see what I mean as we go along here. But first, what we want to do is get a, this is 1.5 inches. So we're going to take a 1.5 inch Forstner bit and drill a hole right through this. Then we're going to cut this circle out on the scroll saw to make it a lens in which this will fit inside of. Be like a casing for it. Okay, so let's take this over to the Forstner bit and see what we can do with it. Okay, we got our 1.5 inch bit on here. We're going to drill this right through. I hope. Hopefully it'll work. Okay, as you can see, Forstner bit just cuts right through this with no problem at all. Okay, we got our hole cut out for our casing. Does this fit in there? Of course it does. Alright, so that's a 1.5 inch Forstner bit that we cut that hole with. Now, what we want to do is something similar to what we did with the casing, is to put this on the back. So when we cut out our casing here, we'll have a cover for the casing too, and it will match pretty good. So what we want to do is take this and tape it down. Okay, as I started to say before the camera battery died on me, we're going to tape this right down to the bottom of the block. And now we're all set to go. You can cut around here and it'll give us a matching cover for the case so we don't see the back of the candle when we put it up for display. Alright, so let's go cut this out on the scroll saw, and I'll come back after that. Okay, I made the lens cap now for the front of the camera. Cutting it out of that poplar piece. And will this fit inside here? Of course it does. Perfectly. Alright, so it's going to be our lens cap. We won't have to see the back of the actual candle. When this is fit onto the camera piece, it'll look like that in terms of a lens for the camera. Not perfect, but hey, it'll do. And we'll be able to turn this. We can take this, so we don't even have to glue it down because it's firmly put on there. Put that in there just to show you how this is going to look. We got a little flickering light that'll be behind our image. We don't want a big deal on the image. We just want a little bit of light that we can see. Okay. Okay, we're now ready to assemble some of our camera here. As I said, we've got our lens that's going to go over the back like that. Doesn't have to be a perfect lineup. The width of the candle, of course, will determine what is going to actually be surrounding that camera. By the way, if you want to make some little candle holders, this might be a good way to do it too. Alright, I'm going to take this over to the sander first and sand it down a bit, and then I'm going to glue this on here. Okay, we're now ready to glue this down. We're going to put this on top of here. A little bit of glue, hold it in place. So along the edges here. Don't need a lot. Enough to fit it on there. And then just run your fingers along it. Get them nice and messy. And then we take this and place it right on top. Okay, don't worry about it if the edges aren't quite even. We can sand that down later, and we can round over the edges as well. Okay, now as I said, this is going to be where your candle fits, and your lens cap goes right over it. That'll make a nice looking front of a camera for our little display. Okay, we're progressing along nicely with the project here. Now the next step is going to be to make our decoration. It's going to look something like this, of course, but it's going to have a better box in the back, box camera so to speak, and a little light to make it a little more decorative. So let's first of all take this and we'll get the back nice and sopping with glue here. Okay, we get that down. What we'll have to do is drill some entry holes here and cut this out. It's a nice simple cut, even for beginners. Shouldn't be too difficult. Just put your entry holes, open spaces, and this here of course you cut around the bottom. And we'll make a base for this also, a groove base. It'll hold it in place so we don't have it toppling over on us. I'll meet you back at the scroll saw. Okay, we're back at the scroll saw. Alright, number 5 reverse tooth blade is already installed and ready to go. Remember, we're going to cut this out and we're going to put this over the top of the camera box, and it'll be a little lit type of ornament. Now if you want the other one, the plain ornament, I'm going to put that in the pack also. So if you order this online from my Etsy store, you'll get the actual box plan, and you'll also get the straight up table ornament if you don't want to do it the simple way. It can be done either way. It looks pretty good. Okay, I've rounded over the edges of the box here, so it'll match the rounding on the corners of the image. And it's all been sanded down. Now you can paint all of this if you want, or stain it, or whatever you want to do with it. If you maybe like to make it look like a real camera, paint it black. But I'm going to leave it just as plain old wood for now. Now we're going to take our image And we're going to glue it right down to the front of the camera. It's okay if it juts up a little bit over the top because that's the camera anyways, and this is just the screen, so to speak. Try to line it up as best you can, and we'll glue it down on all the sides. Like so. Again, you don't need a lot of glue, just enough to peg this thing down. Just give it an eyeball here. That's how you want it lined up. You could even work on this to match it up a little better than what I've got it, but that's okay. I'm just demonstrating how this thing would look in the end when it's done as a so-called camera box in this case. Actually a little light ornament is what we're using it as. Okay, so we got that. We're going to let that dry. Put the glue bottle on top for a little pressure. We could take this and sand these sides down too if you want to make them nice and even. Come back when that's all set. Okay, while the main portions of this project are drying, I'm going to make a little base for the camera type ornament. And the way we're going to do this is I got a block of wood which measures to the size of the 3 legs on the tripod there. And I'm going to make a little groove right across it, but just a single pass on a blade will not do enough, so I'm going to cut the first groove. It's down about 1/4 of an inch into the wood, and then I'm going to move the fence over a little tiny bit and do another groove and so forth. Keep repeating that until it's just about perfect for the 1/4 inch fit. And once we do that, then we can of course glue it in. So I'll be doing this on the table saw. So here we go. You got it where you think it's wide enough to take your 1/4 inch and still not wide enough. Got to go another hair or 2 more. So let's put it back and continue on our climb here. Okay, this is too wide now. I went too much. It's okay. I could take my glue and glue the 3-legged tripod in there without any problem. But you have a little bit of play. I didn't want that much play. So what I'm going to do is go over a little more and show you how you can probably get this thing to work better. I'm going to start it over a little bit further. We're going to have an extra groove in here, but that's not a big deal, since this is just demonstration purposes. Okay, as you can see, this is much better. It's straight up, moves a little bit hair to each side, but not a real problem. You could get a little bit tighter if you want to experiment some more. It's a matter of hit or miss. You got to keep working at it till you get it quite right. I'm satisfied with this, so I'm pretty sure we can glue the camera legs in there, and that little groove will hold it a little more firm than it would have if we had gone with this one, which is a big lopsided move here. Got an extra groove here, not a big deal, since this is just a demonstration, but you might, if you don't get it right, you're going to have to start over with another piece of wood, obviously. Okay. Okay, on the way over here, I decided to go for a third track, and this was the winner. It's much sturdier. That one's a little loose, that one's very loose, but this one holds it in really nice and tight. So I think we're going to go with that particular one. Now we don't need a lot of glue on this, only need a little bit to hold it in position. So we're going to just put this on the bottoms of these. Rub it around to both sides. Rub these down here a bit. Make sure that they're nice and sticky. Okay. Line this up so you can see it. Get out of the way. Alright. You take your tripod and just slide it into that groove, since it's 1/4 inch just like the other board was. Should fit nicely in there, and it does. Alright. Very nice. Okay, now the next thing, and the final thing actually, is to make our camera, our look-alike camera here. Back this off so you can see a little better. We're going to take our candle, and this of course is going to fit in like that, but we're going to put it inside of the, whoops, I think I see a problem here. We're going to have this thing, something to hold this down with. Okay. I've got this standing up on end there in the groove. And now what we're going to do, we're going to insert our candle. Now if we just let it stay like that, it isn't really tight in there, and it's just going to fall out. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of super glue on this. Put a few drops around the edges here. And then take it and press it in there, and we're going to let it sit there and dry. This is going to be our lens, of course, our pseudo lens, so to speak. Shouldn't take too long for that to dry. And then we can put our cap on it, but I don't want to put it on yet. I want to make sure it's dried pretty solid there. Let's turn it on and see how it works. Turn it around, take a look at our picture area. We've got our little lamp inside there. Can't really tell anything yet, so I'm going to shut the lights off and try it out. Okay, I've turned off the lights, and as you can see, looks pretty good with our little lantern lit up inside there. And depending upon, let me take the camera off here, see if we can get a different idea on this. Okay. Back it off a little bit. Okay, there's our little decorative lantern set up like a camera. And this, of course, would be looking through the back lens. You see a silhouette effect, which is kind of nice. Now you can, if you want to, you could put some wax paper along the back of that screen and the light would tend to dissipate over it. So that's a good possibility for a modification of this. But it's up to you. Depends on what you think about it. Okay, we've got the light working in there nicely. You can turn it off and on here as you need it. Just removing the lens, which we haven't even put on yet. But here's your lens cap. That goes right over the top. Now you look at it, and it looks like a regular little camera ready to take a picture. Of course, you can paint these different colors and maybe make them a little more attractive and get your base as well. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this little project. We have the original one, which was just a flattened, raised image, and we now have one that is actually has a body, something like a camera. And you can take this and use it as a nice decoration. All right, if you like doing this project, or you want to do this project, all you have to do is click the little link down below, and you'll also get the pattern for the original one as well. And you can build either one, whichever suits your fancy. Hope you enjoyed this little project. It's kind of fun to do. And if you liked it, please click the little like button down below. That helps me out. As I said, you can get to the patterns by clicking the link down below to my Etsy store. And there you can get hold of these patterns. Thank you for watching.